Okay, today I will tell you about the introduction of socio-cultural behavior. It is a society and culture refers to your way of life. How do you live, how you related to others, costumes, and your character. Why are these being related with tourism? Is this because it is the society and culture great influence about how you behave and what you feel comfortable with, how you like to be treated, how you treat other and what you respect and value. As a tourist, when we go visit other countries, sometimes we could bring a big influence to the local, and it can be either positive or negative impact. It depends on how we behave at their country. Society and culture are different. That is what make traveling exciting. This is because they have a opportunity to see how local live their life and related to their environment. That's all from me. Thank you.
Motivations of travel. Indians, which their social stages at the middle and upper were more expected to go for travel. This is because they have the purchasing power. Hence, they can spend more during traveling. The next point is, the top motivation to travel is to get some downtime. This is probably caused by stress at work and hustle bustle in their country. Other than that, rich tourists will want to travel at luxury countries such as Dubai and Singapore for fulfilling self-actualization. After they work hard for the family and for their own savings, they would like to give special treat for themselves. Last but not least, existing new tourist attraction become their motivation to travel. As for younger generations, existing new tourist attraction becomes their motivation to travel. They tend to travel to places that they have never been before with their friends. Next, choices of destination. As for Indian tourists that are extremely rich, they can afford to travel. Indian tourists will focus on travel to a well-developed country and country that have a lot of shopping sites. This is because they want to experience the luxurious environment as they cannot feel the same thing at their own country. The country that they prefer to visit is Dubai, USA, and Singapore.
In the demographic patterns, the traveler from India have 5 types of categories, which is in business, leisures. In the business, we have frequent flyers and budget business traveler. If we can see and compare the spending between these two categories, the leisure one is much more higher than business. This is because the leisure one, they go for a trip that have been planned for a long time. The business people are the one that go for business purpose. In this slide, we can see that the type of traveler in leisure, the group is much more bigger and the demography is much more larger, which is the leisure they go for in family, with friends and in larger group. We can see that budget group traveler go with families and friends to travel around the world, and experience oriented traveler is the people who is average age about 20 to 30 that go travels at the same time they work and study. For the occasional travel visiting friends, they are mostly the purpose they go there to just meet their family. In this slide, we can see the expenditure pattern. India travel spent about 136 billion US dollar in 3 years, and with 42 billion US dollar available in incremental spending for various travel firms. If you can see this, that Indian tourism has made it to the top 7 in India economy, contributing to the GDP with an increase from 6.7% in 2013 to 9.4%.
For the activities, many tourists prefer adventure tourism than soft adventure tourism because the tourists prefer adventure tourism is they can feel the adrenaline rush into themselves while enjoying the adventure tourism such as paragliding, kayaking, jungle trekking, and other so on that involve the adventure activities. Second, adventure tourism make tourists feel extra hyper excited for them because they are having fun for doing an adventure tourism activities. Last but not least, give satisfaction and can relieve stress while enjoying those activities can make them happy for a while during the travel. Lastly is physical infrastructure that the tourist destination are required for one of utmost requirement and ease of tourists. Mode of transportation. Different people and different mode of transportation for people prefer as for them. For example, the Indian tourists are more prefer the airplanes for their mode of transportation during the travel if they are traveling between domestic trip for their visit their own country or international country. And last, depend on pupil to choose kind of mode of transportation during traveling. It depends on people on how we choose the transportation mode of transportation during the travel, whether by a car, by a plane, or by a cruise ship. Even more, there are freedom to choose what kind of mode transportation during traveling.
Okay, I will explain to you about the length of stay of Indian tourists. For the young Indian tourists that will prefer to stay in the country for just for a few days and not so long. For example, they stay at the other country for 3 or 4 days just because they love to go for an extreme activity, nature, and many more, and stay connected with the local. And for the middle-aged Indian tourists, they would rather stay at the country for a few weeks and maybe more because they love to go sightseeing, shopping, and enjoy all the entertainment mostly in the city, and they do not like to have an extreme activity. Second one is choice of recommendation. For young Indian tourists, they would prefer to go for nature and just as just now because they love for having more and adventure. For all Indian tourists, they would prefer to stay in hotel because they would like to have more relaxation and rest their mind. For example, visiting beach, having spa, and many more. And lastly, most Indian tourists, especially middle-aged, would prefer to stay in luxury hotel and located in the city. Right, that's all from me. Thank you.
Lastly, choice of media. Tourism is an information-intensive industry. Therefore, it is difficult to understand the changes in technologies and tourist or traveler behavior that impact the accessibility of travel-related information. Firstly, in today's digital era, social media communication have a significant impact on the consumer decision-making process. This new age phenomenon has given a huge impact on the traveler. Next, Indian tourists prefer to surf through multiple social media platforms for finding travel-related information before making a destination choice, as it is easy to see people's feedback or review of the destination. And lastly, the social media has been considered the norm as 40% of Indian tourists will seek advice from friends on social media.
Challenges. The Indian tourists have lacked tourist etiquette that they do not take seriously or practice rule etiquette in school or in the family. So that's why they are not used for the practicing etiquette even when they go outside of their country. And another point is they are not punctual. So travel agency must remind them regularly so that their schedule will not be interrupted. And the last one is Indian tourists has really high demand and expectations to the service they buy. So they do have a lot of favor and very demanding, and they are expecting a high service from the industry. The problem with the Indian tourists that they are not culturally sensitive and just outright refuse to learn about the customs of the places they are going to. So this make the country that they visit really feel the people really feel uncomfortable with their attitude and their manners, and they also show an inappropriate action with like stealing and unhygiene, and they're also drink a lot of alcohol in the flight, so it's really make a trouble for the stewardess and the crew. Indians somehow they are very loud when they are in the public, so it might give other people uncomfortable with their loudness.
For the recommendation, refer to the issues and problems. The first is the Indian tourists should have a good habits and respect other cultures and local custom, because they are so being rudely and disrespectful towards the other cultures and local custom. They should not being like that. Then they should show the good manners as representing the Indian country. Second is be punctual. Be punctual on time. At least try to get 20 minutes early before you arrive at destination. Last but not least, must know the dining etiquette around the world. Know about the all etiquette during the travel. And lastly is follow the rules wherever they go. As we see, when during this travel, we can see many Indian tourists are not following the rules, and they are like being their own country.
As for the conclusion, travel behavior is generally referred to as the study of what people do over space. This also refers to the way in which tourists behave according to their attitudes before, during, and after traveling. Indian tourists are more often than not considered a threat when they visit international destination. Whatever has been said or been done with Indians' slow exposure to the world out there, whether with the thought to travel or even in the usage of the internet, the common mentality has to be left behind when they are traveling. Next, to adjust to another culture norms and sensitivities is an important part of interacting with people at a global level. Indeed, travel motivation is a push factor, a pattern summary of the social, cultural, and biological force lead to travel behavior.